I was born on February 6, 1937, to Grace Velma Tracy and Clarence Tracy. He had no middle name. My mom's maiden name was Andress, and she was born in 1906. My dad was born on February 5th, 1902. He was 44 years old when he passed away on my 9th birthday, February 6, 1946. He came to Illinois to work in the coal mines in 1922. He met my mom in Riverton, Illinois, and married her the very same year. He worked for Peabody Coal Company in southern Illinois. Mom was 18 when she got married, and she died in 1965 when she was 59. She had 11 children. Her first died of pneumonia when he was 11 months old, and his name was Marvin Lee Tracy. They had another son named Raymond Oliver Tracy, and he went off to the Navy in World War II, and I never really knew him very much. Dolores Evelyn, being the oldest girl, well, see, she was kind of like the second mother. Then she had Clarence Jr., and then Ruth Laverne. Ruth was such a kind and loving person. And then Nancy Jane, my closest sibling in later years. And Rosa Marie, that's me. Jerry Lee, he was the most handsome of all the boys, and he would be the first to tell you so. Edward Eugene, we called him Red. Then James Milton, he was known as Jimmy. And Charles Leroy, well, he's better known as Chuck. My mom had 11 children by 1944. Tracy family on my dad's side came from Northern Ireland, is all I know. And my dad's mom was a bright red-headed lady. My mom said I never seen her or met her. But she died, I think, in childbirth, from what I remember Mom saying. I don't know which one. And she was very young when she passed. Never met her, or never met my grandpa on that side. But when I had a DNA, it said I was 100% Caucasian. All from Ireland and the British Isles in that area. This was the time Dad was alive. And he would count us, he'd come home from work. He'd stay away for like 2 weeks or so. And somebody always picked him up in an old Model 2, or whatever it is, you had a crank in the back. A really old car. And they'd crank that old thing and take off to work, and Dad had a lunch bucket. And he had a bag with other food in it, homemade biscuits and stuff like that they took with them. And off they'd go to the coal mines. And then you wouldn't see him for like a week, maybe. I don't remember because I was little. And when he came in, he would count us like he forgot how many kids he had, you know. And he'd count out how much nickels he had, and he'd give each one of us a nickel. And we'd go up and buy an ice cream. He had an old beer bucket. It was all the way up to State Street we had to walk. It was a long walk. Kids wouldn't do that today, you'd get routine. It was a different time back then. You just, today,
where did you go on State Street?
You know where State Street is?
Yeah.
And you know where we lived, you'd have to walk.
But I mean, where was the
right
beer
across
place?
the street
From Bicey?
From Bicey's, only catty corner. It was called the Pink Elephant. We'd go in there with that bucket, and they'd fill it up. By the time we carried it home real carefully, it'd probably half full. He died at the age of 44. in 1946 on my birthday, a day after his. Mom was 38 and had 10 children. Youngest was 2. Mom went to work at a St. Louis tent and awning company, making very little money. She walked them out of State Street to the bus stop every morning and a mile back every night. She had to transfer to another bus when she got in St. Louis to get to where she was working. Dolores, she was about 16. She took over babysitting and being the boss and keeping us together. Raymond joined the Navy and served in Iwo Jima, Guadalcanal. He was in the hospital for wounds in Oklahoma and met his wife, Imogene. I don't know how, what, but he was in a war and got wounded. He got a Purple Heart. Mom had a telegram one time saying he was missing in action. They used to, a soldier or somebody come right up to your front door and read it to you and then give it to you. Mm-hmm. And she cried and cried and cried. Then later she got another telegram saying they had found him and he was in the hospital. I think he got a discharge after that. I don't even know how old he was. He stayed away from the family. I don't know anything about him except what was going on. I seen him 2 times after that. He never returned back home. He said it was too much poverty. I remember that's what he said. I remember we lived in we had rollaway beds, cold water, and an outhouse. Mom would often stay up late working, making bread, making soup for the next day. She bought potatoes in a 50-pound bag and flour in a 25-pound bag and sugar in a 25-pound bag. Once a month, the government would give out powdered eggs, butter, cheese, and that's what we ate, and we was glad to get it.